Why are law school resumes important? Law school resumes are important because they provide the admissions committee with an insight as to your experience, your achievements, your skills, and your interest. They also provide the admissions committee with a chronological order or a reverse chronological order of all of your experiences. The resume is also important because you weren't able to include all of your experiences in your personal statement, or perhaps you refer to some of those experiences and you're able to elaborate on those experiences in your resume. So let's begin with mistake number one, not tailoring your resume to law school. You should begin your resume with a section labeled as education. A professional resume might start with a section such as objective or a personal profile. These sections are irrelevant when it comes to the law school application process. You are applying to a law school, an academic institution. Therefore, your resume should begin with your education. And this applies to whether you have been out of law school for 2 years or 10 years. Begin your resume with your education section. Another aspect is that you should focus on your successes. When you write a job description, write about your skills, what you accomplished, and your impact. Do not provide a summary regarding the achievements or the mission of your company. Remember, the application as well as your resume should be centered on you. When crafting your resume, ensure that your experiences are maximized and that they're tailored to the law school. And how can you accomplish this? One way is to look at your job experience or your employment experience and really look at those opportunities for you to highlight skills that admissions officers are looking for. For example, if you're working at a retail store, and your job is to shelf products and perhaps help people, don't just simply state in your resume that you shelved products and help people. Take the time to talk about the problems that you solved, the fact that you provided customer service. Those actions are important. Why? Because they demonstrate to an admissions officer that you do have interpersonal skills, that you're compassionate, that you're a problem solver, and that you care about people. So don't cut yourself short. No matter what type of job you had, no matter how small it was, I am sure that you did solve a problem. So make sure that you showcase that on your resume. That's what the admissions committee will be looking for. Also, keep your resume to 2 pages long. Whether you have been out of law school for a year or 10 years, tailor your resume to the law school. 2 pages should be sufficient to describe your successes, your accomplishments, and your skills, as well as your interests. So I recommend that you take the time to look at your resume and really ensure that it's written for the appropriate audience. Remember, you're not looking for a job. You're asking an admissions committee to grant you a spot in their class. When I was applying to law school, I made many of these mistakes. My resume was initially tailored to an employer. Again, I had my college experience, I had my post-college experience in my resume, but it was written from the perspective of someone who is looking for a job. After working in admissions, I can see the big difference between a professional resume and how much easier and what a pleasure it is to actually read a resume that is tailored to law school. Now, the second mistake, not paying close attention to the skills and interest section. You will be surprised to know that the skills and interest section is a favorite of the admissions officers. They really look forward to reading about what you do when you're not working. They want to know about your passions. They want to know about your interests. They want to know about what you're learning. It really provides an insight as to who you are as a person. And it also provides an insight as to your personality. What kind of personality will you be bringing to the law school? So it's a very important piece of the puzzle. And I really encourage you to include one. And if you have one, to really take the time to make sure that it represents who you are. You also want to make sure that your skills and interest section is appropriate and that it also has an appropriate tone. Do not include questionable or inappropriate hobbies. Do not brag. This is an opportunity to really show them what you're interested in. You should be modest. What I mean is that this is not an opportunity for you to tell the admissions officer how many countries you have visited. Instead, if you're interested in a country, tell them about what you have learned about their culture, about their people. That's different than simply listing all the places that you have been to. When it comes to skills, what the admissions officers generally look for, they look for skills that are different or are not very common. Language is one of them. So if you're learning a language, if you know a language, please include it. However, do not include common skills such as Microsoft or Zoom or Google Drive. What the admissions officer is looking for that are less common or less expected. You are expected in this age to know how to conduct a Zoom meeting. You're expected to know how to handle Google Drive and Microsoft. However, if you're learning a language, include that. If you're learning a trade, if you're learning how to fix cars or how to train dogs, include that. It really showcases a skill and also lets the admissions officer know how do you like to spend your time and the fact that you're still curious. That's important. I remember some of the skills or some of the interests that caught my eye were, for example, cheese making or geocaching or being a stand-up comedian. It really places the applicant in a different light. Something that you should not include as an interest should be reading the Constitution. Do not say that you read the US Constitution for fun. It sounds too forced and not really believable. Be genuine, be authentic in everything you do through the law school application process. Be authentic. As long as you're appropriate and use the right tone of voice, enjoy your skill and interest section. Mistake number 3, typos or formatting mistakes. Sadly, this is something that I did see quite a bit when I was reviewing law school applications, and I really wished that the students were not in such a hurry and in such a rush to submit their law school applications that they will really overlook such an important part, which is to take the time to make sure that your work is polished and that your work is correct, that you do not have grammatical mistakes. Why? Because you're being evaluated as a potential attorney, and an attorney is supposed to be thorough. So when you make a mistake on your resume, you're sending the wrong signal to the admissions committee. You're saying that you're not thorough. So please take the time to really look for spelling errors, grammatical mistakes, formatting, inconsistency in the format. Be consistent, be thorough. Something else that you should avoid when it comes to formatting, please make sure that your resume is easy to read. Do not clutter your resume. Your resume should be scannable. Remember, admissions officers, they read hundreds and hundreds of applications. Make sure that it has the right spacing, make sure that it's consistent. Something else that I would like to bring to your attention when you're formatting your resume is make sure that you do not use distracting designs. For that very reason, because they're distracting. Remember, you want the admissions officer to focus on your achievements, on your interests, and on your work experience. By including all of these designs, you are indeed distracting the admissions reader. So make sure that your resume is clear and make sure that it's devoid of any design that's not really necessary. You don't need lines, you don't need stars, you don't need confetti. What they want to learn about is you. And as I said before, your resume should be centered on you. I also want to draw your attention to a mistake that I have seen quite often on a resume, and that is using the pronoun I. You should not use I, you should not use we in a resume. A final point that I would like to make is one that, although it has nothing to do with the mistakes that I mentioned before, it is related to the resume. So I want to make sure that I include it. If you have employment gaps in your resume that span more than, I would say, probably 3-4 months, please provide an addendum. Do not leave gaps unexplained for the admissions committee to figure it out. Make the job easier for the admissions committee. That you let them know what happened, that you let them know what you did. And if you didn't do anything, then let them know why. Do not let the admissions committee infer. Keep control of your resume. Keep control of your narrative and really enjoy putting together your resume. After all, you should be very proud of all of your accomplishment and what the resume displays, which is another puzzle to the law school application process. Remember to share with friends and see you soon.